the research process no nga usahay sa inyo ha labi na kang mga batan mo mo notes. So we're going to do this so that I will not repeat myself anymore. I will no longer have to um Sapol na ko yung mga kuan na ko yung mga ipang discuss nga wala niyo nakuha, at least you can just go back to the video and rewind it no or rewatch it. Okay, so we will continue with our discussions. Actually, we will start with the right shop once we are done with the title hearing. The reason why not a title hearing no, it's because we have to choose what is the most feasible and ang dali na to nga mapilian nga research title para maka-start na jud mo sa chapter 1. We will not have a right shop kung wala pa mo na establish nga research title. So, I think na-discuss naman to na ko last time when we had our meeting last Thursday. For a while. Okay, so we already established the different types of quantitative research, but we haven't discussed its parts and its process yet. As far as I could remember, hopefully, sakto man no kay basinyag redundant ba. But let me just go back to this one. We already know what are the different variables from the previous discussion. What is the difference between quanti and qualitative study, its strengths and weaknesses. We already had an exercise on independent and dependent variables. So let us now go to the types of quantitative research. Actually, ang sa kaninga slide, I have two slides for types of quantitative research. I have the experimental, which includes true experimental and quasi-experimental, and the non-experimental, which includes katong retrospective, descriptive, correlational, daghan kaayo og klase. For a while. Okay, so we're going to proceed now with the different types of quantitative research. Ang kato kong na-discuss a while ago, sorry putol-putol ha kay ga-adjust ko sa background noise na ko. So, ang katong nasa kong previous slide, it's far more broad. It has several examples. So, sa kaninga slide, just bear with me. So, sa kaninga slide, duhara. So, identify ra niya diri ang causation and correlation, which is not far from the one that I previously had. So, we will go with this first so that you will not be confused, and then I will also explain katong daghan kaayo no katong na ay quasi, na ay true, na ay descriptive, correlational, sa tong usa gani retrospective no. So daghan kitog klase ang katong previous nako nga slide. So we will go with here first so that at least we can build a foundation on the types of quantitative research so that you will not be confused. So there are a lot of approaches to research. Again, lisod kaayo siya i summarize in just one sitting. Usually when we discuss research, it's continuous. So, dili lang siya enough ang 1 year of studying research and also writing it. It entails a lot of time. So, I'll do my best as much as possible to compress it. Kato lang mga basics akong i-pick out so that before ta mag-write shop, you already have a background no on its different parts, on not just different parts but the different types of quantitative research. So, we established last time that the quantitative research is a means for testing objective theories by examining relationships among variables, and not just relationships. We have descriptive research. Most of your research there that you have presented, the research titles that you presented to me, are more onto the descriptive part. So quantitative is not just limited to examining relationships. That's correlational. In quantitative, it's not just limited to correlational. There could be a cause and effect relationship. There could be a descriptive, meaning you're not comparing two variables, you're not establishing relationships between two variables. You're just simply going to describe the nature of the situation. Like, For example, you just want to know if unsa ang mga perspectives sa mga tao with regards to this kind of issue or this kind of problem. Or, to put it in a more quantitative approach, pwede po siya, you want to know the level of reading comprehension of the kids in your barangay. That's descriptive. You're just merely describing their level of reading comprehension and what are the interventions that you should do in case nga low ang ilahang reading comprehension nila. Okay? Compared to um correlational nga, there is an actual examining of relationship, the relationship between sleep and the level of productivity, or number of hours of sleep and level of productivity. Oh, that is correlational. So, or ang relationship between enrolling in summer class before the class, does it have a direct relationship with improved grades or improved academic performance? So, mga ano, those are examining established relationships. Or cause and effect through experimental research, no? Causal, wherein, katong example sa, if you can still remember the example of the hamster or the plants, no? Katong different colored lights, and then katong different diets for the hamster. So, na-adjoy manipulation of the independent variable so that it can affect the dependent variable. That's causal research. No, there is cause and effect. There's established cause and effect because you manipulated a certain part of that experiment so that it may change the result of the one that you are testing. Diba? So, si Quanti, dili lang siya nga na, ha, daghan ka to, na-explain na ako kanina. Pero, one thing that you could also get from this is the keyword objective theories. Quantitative is subjective because from the word quantity, it measures numerical data. It's more on statistics. Rigid siya. Objective, close-ended questions. Unlike with qualitative, I'm not saying qualitative research it does not hold much ground. It holds so much ground si qualitative, but it's more on behavior and it's more on observations. It's more on peer group discussions. So mo na si qualitative, no? Quality, it's more on um something that you cannot measure at all. It's more on experiences, more on behavior, no, more on their reaction, more on experiences. So because when you're having peer group discussions and interviews in qualitative research, it cannot be measured by numbers, no? Words yun siya kalabanan. Okay? So, just a recap to that. Nakasabot ratanan, please give me an indication that you have understood what I just said. Kasabot
Yes,
ratanan.
dam.
Okay. So, in general, no, quantitative is a collection of observable and measurable data. Standardized data collection instruments, when we say standardized, um, it means that you got your questions from an existing researcher and gikuha nimo siya questions kay naman to siya na peer reviewed naman to siya na publish to siya nga research question na nimo siyang himuon as part of your data collection instrument or your survey questionnaire. Your data collection instrument and your survey questionnaire are the same. Okay? Lain-lain lang sila og tawag pero they are the same. And then statistical techniques in data analysis. So it uses statistics, no? Like Pearson R, and Pearson R, t-test, z-test, that's inferential statistics or descriptive statistics like weighted mean, frequency, and simple percentage. So, like what I've discussed last time, correlational research is different from causal research. See, correlational, it involves identifying relationships between two variables. So, it is a statistical measure of association between two variables. The key word there is association. Identifying relationships. From the word correlational, relationship. So, it does not have a direct cause and effect relationship, but more on just an association. an affiliation. Just a relationship but not a direct cause. No, dili siya mao ang rason jud. Dita ka point out nga mao ni ang rason. To go back to what I've discussed last June, di ba? If you can still remember, examples of correlational research, the very common nga I always talk to you about is there an existing relationship between the number of hours of sleep to the level of productivity of a student? Which means, I would like to identify if the number of hours of sleep, the longer ang number of hours of sleep sa bata, does it also improve or increase the level of productivity, the number of assignments nga mahuman niya the following day? That's relationship. Because we really do not know if that's the main cause, the main reason, nga no productive ang bata. Nga no ang student has a high level of productivity. Sometimes there are also other factors na contribute nga no productive ang bata. But you just want to know if sleep is one of those factors that helps improve their level of productivity. And we have to also know the intensity of their relationship. Ang kadulon, may tag intensity of the relationship, meaning unsa ka dako ang impact sa sleep sa level of productivity sa bata. Okay? How big is the impact of number of hours of sleep in the productivity of the student? Let's say there are several contributing factors to its productivity. Let's say sleep, and then proper diet pa, and then the student is interested in the subject. That's why he or she is very productive. But out of these three factors, unsay pinakaduol, no? Very close to improving the level of productivity. Okay, the intensity of the level the number of hours of sleep to the level of productivity. Okay? So, if I were to illustrate it, go back to I try to make use of my whiteboard so that I can illustrate it. I don't have a blackboard. Clearly, we're back to online, no? Jamboards na ganyan siya. Okay. So, for example, this is the blackboard lang ha. In correlation, it's not only a relationship between two variables, but it's also the intensity. Is there a significant difference? Sa significant difference, a significant relationship, you identify ang intensity kadulon. Sorry, not make a straight line, lol. So if this is level of productivity, kung sa yung level of intensity from each other. So, based on the responses of your respondent, if ilang responses dito is dili man jud maka-affect ang sleep sa kung level of productivity, ma'am, kay regardless of how many hours of sleep that I get, my level of productivity will just remain the same no matter how much sleep I get. No, like for example, if I get 8 hours of sleep or 2 hours of sleep, my level of productivity will just be the same. So, very far ang intensity ni sleep and ni productivity. Muna sa correlation, there is no like direct cause. So, you cannot really point that one out, diba? But, if we're going to go with causation, causation. No, my mouse is not working. Wala decision lagi niya akong mouse, no? Anyway, wait lang. Okay, meron din eh. So anyway, going back, causation is different. It's more on the cause and effect. There is already an established cause and effect relationship with causal research because ikaw mismo kabalo ka nga, this is the reason why this variable changes because I manipulated something. There is a cause and effect, and it's more on the experimental side. A perfect example of a causal research is you try to manipulate the different colored lights for a same type of plant and see if which colored light ang mo improve sa plant growth. O, take for example, like my example way back in June, no? So I have three different pots of plants, but no, sorry, I have three plants that are the same. Sorry, I have three plants that are the same, are in the same soil, in the same environment, receive the same amount of water and fertilizer, but I will be exposing them to different colored lights. One will be exposed in green, one will be exposed in red, one will be exposed in yellow. After pila ka days, I will see if which of these three plants ang naay improvement when it comes to its growth, no? Ang yang height, no? If it's a fruit-bearing plant, does it bear fruit or things like that, no? Or so those are the example of a causal research because you manipulated the different colored lights to see if which of the plants will change. So the cause is the plant, the effect is syempre the growth of the plant. The cause is the lights, and then the effect is the growth of the plant. There is a cause and effect relationship. That is the difference between the correlational research that is just more on identifying relationships and measure of association. You cannot really identify the main cause for this because it's a correlation, just mere relationship, unlike in causal nga there is an actual cause and effect relationship. You know nga ang lights ang maoy rason, specifically yellow light ang rason nga no nag-grow ang plant B, because when you expose this plant B to a yellow colored light, its growth improve for several days. Okay, so there's an actual cause and effect. You can really trace it. Nakasabot ra? Sabot ra tanan? Hello?
Yes, the
Okay. So, we will go with correlational research first and discuss its contents. And ito, if I've already discussed this one, so kindly inform me if na-discuss na ako. If wala, we will proceed. So, correlational research looks at the following. Whether an association exists between variables, magnitude of the existing association. When we talk about magnitude, we talk about this one. The intensity of the relationship. Is it near or far? But usually it's not in this graph when you measure the magnitude. Usually you make use of inferential statistics. So, direction of the association. So, is it moving together or apart? Okay, so muna siya ang correlational research. Okay. So, example of correlational research is the relationship between hours of sleep and the test scores among students. So, kanilahi na po ni siya, no? Kato ko, productivity. Kani siya, test scores. Based on the main focus points of correlational research, the following results are possible. Either there is no significant relationship between hours of sleep and the test scores among students. So, may ngitag there's no significant relationship. So, regardless of pilang hours of sleep sa mga bata, ang test scores nila will just improve, no? Or higher test scores are related to more hours of sleep among students. So, na ay significant relationship. Okay? So, higher test scores are related to more hours of sleep, meaning the more hours of sleep that they get, the higher their test scores are because they are well rested, they can review, they will not have like a mental cloud block, no? May ana. So, based sa imuhang study, either duha ra jud na, either walay significant relationship or there is. Okay, so muna sa correlational research. And di rin siya pwede nga usara nimo kalantaw sa ilahang questionnaire men ka. Okay na significant relationship. No, you have to tally You have to tabulate it, interpret it, and then make use of inferential statistics. And then correlational research is often used in quantitative research in the social sciences. It can be used in psychology, political science, and economics, and etc. So, in psychology, we can use that correlation to see at patterns and associations of human behavior. So, what are the example? So, muna no, ang number of hours the student spends on social media and his or her academic performance. Although, there is no direct cause that the social media is the main reason nga no, mo improve or mo uh, mo worsen no ang academic performance sa student, what we will see its association if it really does contribute masking a little bit no through association, through correlational research, and we have to see its magnitude no unsa kadako ang intensity of social media to academic performance. So, sa economics, correlational research may also be used to determine what if affects or is affected by certain economic variables. So, an example is looking at the relationship between foreign exchange rate and the credit rating of a particular country. In political science, correlational research may also be used to study between whether an association exists between different political variables. An example is looking at the relationship between crime rate and the number of votes a politician garnered during an election. If you look at these examples, there is no cause and effect relationship, just simply asking if there is an association, if there's a relationship between two variables. So, dili jud ka ingon maka-pinpoint nga, mo jud ni ang rason nga no, ning kuan gamay ra ang credit rating sa country kay foreign exchange rate kay mao ni mauna. No, it's just an association, just a relationship, just like number of hours of sleep to productivity, just like number of hours of sleep to test scores. So, kaya siya ha, relationship that exists between two variables, but again, you have to remember, it does not say that one variable causes the other. It's not the main reason. Okay? So, it's not the main reason, just a relationship, just an association. But the other one, the causal research, is different because it deals with cause and effect, and we can really point out that this is the reason why this other variable changes. Well, we can look at this example. So, causal research. But before that, do you have any questions for correlational research? Questions? None? Wala man, hilo man kayo nakatulog na guro. Quiet na ang mga person. So anyway, let's go with causal. One time ito, di mo makatubag ha, magpa-exam na lang kuan ni causal o correlational research. So anyway, we will go with causal research. So causal is different. It deals with cause and effect relationship. Okay? Different than the causal one, it's more on association and relationships, kani cause and effect dyan. So, an example of causal research is the cause and effect relationship between food ingredient and the rate of decay of a food sample. So, a possible research study based on this example can examine how an additional unit of food ingredient or the cause leads to the faster decay of the food sample. Okay? So, for example, I will try to see if coconut milk, which is the cause, no, can lead to faster decay of a certain food. So, if I put coconut milk to this food and the other one does not have coconut milk, how fast can a food decay? So, food A will decay for several hours na. After several hours, mapanos na siya, madaot, nya ang usa wala man no, so pinatisan pa jud, so dili siya dali mapanos, dili siya dali madaot no ang isa, maybe because it's fermented. So we can really identify nga okay, so coconut milk is the main reason why faster ang pag daot no pag rot sa food or pag decay sa food because of this ingredient than the other one that does not have this ingredient at all. That's a causal research. That's a cause and effect relationship. Let me. Okay. So kani siya relationship, kani cause and effect jud. So sa causal, kung kani is more on the intensity of the relationship. Kani sa causal research, we really have a cause and effect which we can really point out that will change the other variable. If you can remember, the cause is the independent variable, the one that we manipulate to have an effect on the dependent variable. So this is the dependent variable, the effect, and the independent variable is the cause. Because the independent variable lang ato ang gina-manipulate. So the coconut milk there is the independent variable or the cause, and then the one that changes is the dependent variable which will have an effect, no? Or the one will change because of the independent variable. So this is the coconut milk as food ingredient to a food item. Okay. So causal research is often used in studying the natural sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, but is not exclusive to this field. In chemistry, causal research is applied to the conduct of chemical experiments to see whether a change in the quantity of one substance affects the characteristics of another substance. So, si causal, no, is more on sciences, no? Natural sciences, biology, chemistry, because it's very experimental. The manipulation of variables to change the other variable is very experimental. It could be quasi or true experimental. But if you have a cause and effect relationship, manipulation of independent variable to have an effect on the dependent variable, so, paano siya? Experimental na din na siya. Now, what kind of method do we use for correlational and causation research? Kung correlational, we usually make use of a survey research, and it's not just limited to correlational. It could be used by descriptive research or other types of research that does not involve experimental research or cause and effect. Magpa-descriptive man na siya, correlational, or retrospective research, it makes use of a survey. Okay? So, muna ilahang nga kind of method in research. So, they make use of a questionnaire to collect data. Like, kanang, kuan ko, kanang yes or no, or strongly agree or disagree, and then naka-close-ended siya because there are questions there. Those are examples of a survey research. Okay? That is utilized in correlational, descriptive, and other types of non-experimental research. But if we talk about experimental research, so it has a cause and effect logic, no, na ay manipulation of independent variable to affect the dependent variable, and then ano siya, no? High cause and effect. So, naa siya intervention or treatment. So, they make use of an experimental research because we have control groups, we have experimental groups, we have an intervention. So, an intervention. Okay. If you can remember, si food item, no? Can I make a new one? Okay. So, this is food item 1. Food 1 ha, food bowl 1, and then food bowl 2. Okay. So, our intervention is coconut milk. Muni atong i-apply to see if there are changes. Si coconut milk is also considered as our independent variable baron or our cause. So, coconut milk is applied to food food item number 1. This is the experimental item, and this is the control or the one that we use to compare. So, when we put the intervention, this is the intervention ha. Oh, yung kun wala yung blackboard no. Okay. Actually, it's easier for me to teach research online because I can open several websites. Hopefully, if you can use the computer lab. Anyway, intervention. So, this is the intervention, the coconut milk. We apply this intervention to food group 1, which is the experimental. And then the control is the food group 2 or food item 2, which does not have coconut milk in it. And then we will try to see the result. So after a few hours, this one will rot and this one will not because of we will okay, so this certain especially kung init ang panahon no. So this certain ingredient can make the food sour or um will not taste good anymore after several hours if not refrigerated or consumed immediately. So this helps food to rot faster. Or tomato seeds for example, dali mapanos no, o dali masira kung sa Tagalog pa, dali mapanos ang food. Okay, so that is experimental research. So what are the components of a survey research? Napabata diri napatabuhi pa ta mga people.
Is
Hello.
the
Yes,
Okay,
the
so you have several components of a survey research. We have survey design, population and sample, survey instrument, and data analysis and interpretation. Since you are more into quantitative and eventual quantitative non-experimental, then usually this is what you will encounter. Okay, the usual research process that we go through once we conduct quantitative non-experimental. Unlike for experimental, sorry. Unlike for experimental nga mauni siya ang matabo lang. Hold akong slides. So, daghan, no? You have different stages for experimental. There are different instrumentation and materials. There are different procedures for experimental research. And then, it really depends, no? If you're more into a single experiment, a single group experimental research, a quasi or true experimental, it also really depends. So, it involves a lot of materials compared to the survey research that you only have your questionnaire. No, mura dyan na siya. So, mura ni ang mga components ni survey research, quantitative, non-experimental. So, a survey design may be cross-sectional or longitudinal. Take note, there are several. Napagani retrospective. Anino? Ang retrospective is old information. No? Old, um, previous siya, no, kanang murag archived ang retrospective nga kind of survey design. It is like an archived data like from the past. Then si cross-sectional o si longitudinal, si cross-sectional is more on present time, longitudinal present and future. Okay? So si retrospective wala na siya napil diri no, but retrospective is more on past data, archive, no? Kanang karaan na jud kaayo, no? Mura kag more on historical research imuha, things like that, no? And then si cross-sectional is more on, this is the most common kind of survey design. When we talk about cross-sectional, you acquire information at one point in time. Like for example, I'm just going to gather data for this entire week for the same kind of respondent. So, mura na, no? Murag walay pre-test and post-test. Diretso na ka. Muasa kag permission nila and then you conduct survey. But the longitudinal is different. It acquires information at multiple points in time so that they can compare, contrast, and assess changes in responses. So, an example of this is, um, for example, ipatilaw nga food, uh, kung research siya sa HRM, no? Nakay maglutoon nga nakay kuan or mga expectations mo or pre-test post-test. Okay. Nakay gusto introduce nila nga food item, but before that you conduct survey first. Masyag pre-test. What kind of food nga lang ginahan or unsa nga taste usually sila most fond of or etc. Marsha og pre-survey. Survey. Then, luto ka sa food, mong ipakaon nila. Pag magkaon, mo ding ipa-survey unsa ang o ano, did the food meet their expectations from the pre-survey or not, no, things like that, pre-test and post-test. Or for example, a longitudinal survey is you want to know, actually this is going to be applied to experimental as well, si longitudinal. You want to know if mo apply kag certain teaching strategy, will it help improve test scores? O for example, mag-pre-test sa ko about a certain topic aning sa math. So, kita na ko, gagmay mag-score sa akong mga estudyante aning specific topic. So, since nag-pre-test ko, before the intervention, before ko ni-apply sa teaching strategy, nagpa-test ko, gamay ra kayo nakakuha og dako nga score. What if I will introduce the topic again, and then I will introduce it in a way nga lahi na po akong teaching approach or teaching strategy. I will make it more fun, easier for them to understand. I-apply nimo intervention, or more experimental, no? I-apply nimo intervention, or i-apply nimo ang teaching strategy. Then, after that, you will conduct post-test. After post-test, you will try to see if there is an improvement of their test scores from the previous nga pre-test. Ay, wala na, improvement. So, sa una, naglibog ang mga bata aning aning problem. So, or aning ari nga question. Pero after nga ako na siyang na post-test, then na-improve na ilang test scores. Syempre, dili po nimo ingnon ang correct answer, no? Ikaw rin ga-check, no? Ikaw rin may nakabalo sa ilang performance. So, one thing that you control there is for your students to know the correct answer. So, there is a possibility, manggod na they'll repeat that because you already know the correct answer. You will not reveal that, no? Syempre, ikaw rin nakabalo. You have the control. So, pre-test ka, gamay lang score, apply kag bagong teaching strategy, different kinds of learning materials. So, nag-improve ilang score after sa post-test, then you will compare na. That's longitudinal study. Multiple points in time to compare, contrast, and assess changes in responses. Before, gagmay ilang score. Pag-apply na ko ani, pag post-test na ko, nag-improve ilang score. Okay? That's longitudinal. Cross-sectional, 1 point in time. Karon na ko mo survey nila, karong si Manaha. Walay pre-test, walay post-test. Right now, no? Real time ko mo survey. Retrospective, usually na siya, wala lapil din, no? Retrospective, karaan na siya nga data. There's no comparison between present and past. Just studying the past, no? Retrospective, from the word retro. And then, si survey research, syempre, na population and sample. Kung naka-remember mo sa kong gihatang example, di ba, sa quanti, we can easily generalize a certain population because of a sample, no? Yung kung nga, lisod mo ka-study ang San Carlos, kadaghan kay sila o respondents, daghan kay sila residents. So, with the entire population, ako nga nag-illustrate through face-to-face class. This is the population. Let's say 200k 200k packs. You just get a small sample. Piece of the pie. Probably like 1,000 or 5,000. Just an example raha. Not literally translated as, 5k siya namang koon nga respondent. Grabe sad. Dugay kayo mahuman ana. So, this is the sample size. The total population is the entire population. But since it's too many, it's difficult for you to measure. It's difficult for you to conduct surveys ani kadaghan. So, you will just get a sample. Okay? At least a percent of the total population. This sample size, this 5k, will represent the total population. And syempre, they have to be chosen randomly without any biases or dili magtapok sa sara ka lugar or sara ka barangay. It should be distributed equally. Well, that is also one of the components of survey research. It has a population and sample. Okay? Like sa experimental, di man ta kahimong ato, no? Pila raman naka-control group atong makaya. Control group and experimental group. So, a population is a general group of people with similar characteristics, and a sample is a subgroup of that population that is chosen either randomly or purposively to participate in the survey research. Ang pag-randomly is either through lottery style, ang lottery method is you assign numbers to them, and then mayon ka nga, okay, every third number or katong mga even or odd numbers ang kuha may ana, no? Or bunot-bunot ka, kapoy kaayo. Number 2, number 10, no? Kapoy kaayo, no? So, or purposively, kung kinsaray mo agi, that's purposive, no? When kinsaray mo agi, or kung kinsa silang intended respondents nimo sa research. So, take for example, I'm studying about um, hepatitis nga treatment. So, most probably, the people that, although very, very, say, very experimental siya og method, pero ang pag-choose nila is purposively because you're only going to choose those who are stricken with HEPA, no? So, syempre, kay sila man jud ang intended respondents of your research. That is for population and sample. Next, the survey instrument. So, syempre, questionnaire ang tawag sa tong survey instrument or data collection instrument. No? Daghang kay pangalan, no? Survey, questionnaire, data collection instrument. All of those are just the same. So, it contains close-ended questions with fixed answers that will be given to the selected sample. Unsa man yung mga fixed answers? It has options already. Either 5 the highest, 1 is the lowest. Likert scale ang tawagan na ha, Likert scale. Likert, Likert scale. Or, it could be yes or no. No? Yes, check ka for yes, check ka for no. That is a fixed answer close-ended question. And it is called close-ended because the questions are just limited to that. It's not give me your opinion on this. Dili siya essay type. No, dili siya ing ana. Multiple choice siya. No, so meaning there is a question and you just choose your answers from that question, 'di ba? Dili siya open-ended question nga essay type nga. What is your perception on? What is your opinion on? Those are open-ended questions. And that is not what descriptive or correlational, or in short, non-experimental research is all about. So, correlational, since part mo sa non-experimental research, close-ended questions jud si correlational. And then, survey questions may ask about behavior, attitudes, beliefs, opinions, characteristics, expectations, self-classification, or knowledge. Although these things sounds like qualitative, but you can limit it through your questionnaire. Ma-qualitative rin siya nga question class kung in an essay type, like, what is your opinion on this? What is your belief on this? Pero, kung nakabutan na dira, do you agree that blah 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 blah, yes or no ra, oh, that is quanti because it's close-ended. Or because it can be measured statistically kay maihap ra man nimong responses, maihap nimong pila ka book ang nag-yes, pila ka book ang nag-no. Okay? So, muna yung mga sample questions, no? How frequently do you use social media application? O, na din mga responses. Always, sometimes, never, o, na mga yung ana. No? Attitudes, what do you think about animal therapy? Na din mga responses. Strongly agree, strongly disagree, may ana. Neutral. Characteristics, what is your highest educational attainment? O, syempre, na nakabutang dira, no? Postgraduate studies, college, elementary, ana. Expectations. So, do you plan to visit the coffee shop for the next 2 weeks? Yes or no ra? Self-classification. Do you consider yourself socially aware of current events and issues? Answerable by yes or no. Knowledge. Who is your student council batch representative? Kabutan dira. Options, no? Dili ni siya ingon nga fill in the blanks na options dira. Si Kuan ba? Si Ivy Angel Nieves or B, si Kuan, May Limbaga, C, si Ana Marie, o nadira. So, it's close-ended. And it includes data analysis and interpretation. So, the analysis can either be descriptive or inferential. When we talk about descriptive analysis, it provides a general report of the results in a survey, which may include frequencies or average scores. I'll give you an example. Sa descriptive gani class, ihap-ihap ra jud ka. ihap ka pila ka book ang nag-yes sa question number 1. Ihap ka pila ka book ang nag-no sa question number 1. Then you convert it into percent and then you use weighted mean. So, where is it? Okay. Kanisa ko ani siya sa 4th year at TM nila nga study. So, nilang work. So, I'll just give you a copy of their study ha. Kaya kung ko gipa-bookbind kay daghang ko gipa-usab. Permahan ay okay. No. Transmutation table. Oh no, arbitrary table to siya. Okay. This is descriptive statistics. Okay? So, descriptive statistics, frequency and percentage method with weighted mean. Weighted mean has a different kind of formula, but it's very simple to do. Frequency, ihapon nimo out of your total respondents. Sa ito ibutang 230 respondents. Ito ibutang lang ha. Pila ka book ang ning answer og strongly agree. Og agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. And then you convert this into percent. Pila ka percent is 223, 69.3%. Okay, that is an example. This is descriptive statistics because you're just making use of weighted mean, frequency method, frequency and percentage distribution. Okay, frequency, number of responses, and then distribution. Ivy knows this. Kitudluan ako nila nga batch sa descriptive statistics. Inferential, na adiring inferential po no. So, bongga ni ilaha kay duha jud ni ilaha. Descriptive ug inferential kay naa sila significant relationship. Dili mo magkuan ha nga, pabunggahon po na kukuha dapat na jud ko inferential statistics. Not all research includes inferential statistics ha. It really depends on the nature of your study. Dili tang magpapugos nga ibongga na totoo ang research if it is not what is needed. If it is not needed in your research. Kung unsa rin na, even appreciate if it's just, di man jud totally baga jud, as long as it contains everything, but dili ka nang sobra kay sa mga kuan nga, dili man kay kinahanglan sa study ninyo. Magdepende ra jud na sa inyong study. Sa ilaha man gud, nanginahanglan. Nangita ang panelist sa ilang inferential statistics. Reject the hypothesis. Tungod sa table, no? Nara, no? Ilahala noon significant difference, dili relationship, sa level of readiness, sa ilang programs, projects, and etc. So, this is inferential statistics. They make use of, kung ba ni ilaha? Pearson R? Degree of freedom man ni ilaha. Pearson R ba ni ilaha? Or, chi-square. Chi-square ilang gigamit. Ang Pearson R lahi pud to siya. Duha ra to ka table. So chi-square ilaha. So chi-square, Pearson R, t-test, so those are example. ANOVA, naman ang mga example sa inferential statistics. Okay? So mana, ang inferential statistics makes comparisons among the survey and establishes an explained relationship. So, descriptive, frequency, and average scores ra iyaha. Kato kong gipakita kanina. Frequency and simple percentage method. Okay, so as I apply ang survey research, so pwede sa medicine, chemistry, biology, psychology, political science, economics, culinary arts, and business. I will just upload all of this to ang Google Classroom. Okay? Patient preference, chemical substances, and etc. So, the main components of a survey research, if you can still remember, no, survey design, can either be, sa ganito, correlational, sorry. Survey design, either longitudinal, naglibog na ko sa kadagan, longitudinal, retrospective, or cross-sectional. Population and sample. If you can remember, population, the general population. Sample is the representative, a small sample of the population which represents the entire population. And then the survey instrument. So sa survey instrument, close-ended question siya. And then, it has fixed answers. And then data analysis and interpretation. So it can either be what? It can either be descriptive or inferential. Descriptive, more on frequency and average scores. Frequency, simple percentage, weighted mean. C. Descriptive statistics. C. Inferential. We make use of inferential statistics to establish or determine significant relationship or significant difference, to reject the hypothesis or to accept it, which includes chi-square, ANOVA, t-test, pagganito, lain, person R, yung mana siya. Questions. Pangutana. Hello? Hello? Napabot na tanan dire? Questions. Nakasabot ra tanan on the different components of correlational research. Correlational pa lang to ha, di pa to experimental.
Bale, mag-exam po taan ni Dam, no?
I will just include a small portion of this one. Just to test if you really listen to my discussion. Pero syempre, ako rin yung i-credit sa inyo hang first sub. Questions? Sige lang kay, the actual research writing process is not this information overload. I don't know lang sa inyong part, no? Pero, in research writing, manggod, after your title hearing, I will not dwell so much with the discussion, but it's based on your ability to write. So please, I do not want you to rely on AI. As much as possible, you write, you learn how to search for literature yourself because it pays off. I don't want you to head to a more easier path. Please lang. I know you are smarter than this. Because it would really affect the way you write kay makabalo jud ko kung AI generated siya. And much more that we are going to invest on Turnitin. Turnitin can really detect AI generated submissions. It can really detect how many percent of your submissions are AI generated. When you make use of ChatGPT and all, so please, although this is medyo information overload on your part, but when we reach to that stage in the first semester, starting on August, when we start writing our chapter 1, I want you all to undergo the same process that the others have experienced. They did not go through AI. They really searched for their own literature. They made that one through their own sweat and tears. Pulaw jud sila. I do not want you to go the easy way. No, that is the one thing that I really hate. No, because if you want the easy way, that means you're lazy. You do not want improvement. You do not want to actually learn. You just want to pass the subject. And that is not what I want. What I want is, even if you cannot pass the subject, as long as you've learned something. Or, masking kuan lang, no? Mediocre ang, ang gawas, no? Ang importante, you've learned something. No? Kaya nga to, we're not just upholding standards. What I really want you to know is that you really know the entire process by yourself. Okay? So, I let some of the kuan pass, no? Kaya syempre sa title pa man na. So, okay ra na sa ako. Pero I want you all to work on it. Do not do shortcuts. Work on it yourself. Do research. Go through the hard way. Okay? Kay that is one thing that you do not appreciate You want everything. Matuingon ni Ma'am Alma, di ba? You want everything to be easy, fast-paced lang tanan. Quick lang, instant, which is not the right way for us to do things, okay? So, nag-call ako no, kay padulong naman guta sa research writing and I really anticipate that this will happen. And kami ni sister mismo, we already invested on Turnitin. We're planning to have it by August. We talked about this back in March pa lang daan. syempre, it's expensive. It would reach 300,000 pesos. No, kay, it's really expensive because Turnitin are used by leading schools and universities for plagiarism checking and for also helping you into writing. Because Turnitin is not just for plagiarism check, ha, it can correct your grammar. So when you write something like research work, sometimes I will say, upload your work to Grammarly. Check your grammar because we cannot do it alone. No, we need to also have like Grammarly to assist us. At least you're doing the writing by yourself. I-improve lang ang grammar. Or you make use of Quillbot or unsa pa na siya, no? Alam mo na, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you know the process. You know how to write it. Okay? Okay, so anyway, where were we? We're going to stop here. We're not going to expand further on the discussion kay taas-taas pa ang experimental research. Usually, I entail 3 hours for research lang jud nga subject alone. But since we're not still on the actual research writing jud nga klase, so we're just going to stop here. And then, I'll give some feedback on your research titles. Okay?